neckline, you're gonna have these small pieces, and this is something that we designed because the pattern itself had a very difficult bias tape type thing. We decided to do kind of like more of a dicky to make it easier to make the neckline square. What we're gonna do is you line up the right sides together, and you just line up the pieces along the neckline. Okay, so you're gonna put the right sides together. Just put these pieces flat against the neckline. Once it's flat against the neckline, you're going to actually sew the shoulder sides pieces first, and then so you kind of get all the way up the neckline. What I do is I figure out, because all the pieces were cut independently, so it's kind of a makeshift piece, so you're going to have to just kind of match it up the best you can. They match for the most part, so you're just going to get it up to there. Then you're going to flip it over and do the same with the back piece. Right sides together, right along the curved edge. You're going to give yourself enough room on the sides for a seam with the front piece. Okay, sorry, I forgot it was on. Anyways, okay, so I actually find out where the seam is, and then I put a little mark on where the seam is lining up on that piece, so that's where I know where to sew the front and the back together. Same on this side. So you just kind of get it, figure out where it is, put a little needle or mark your spot. You're going to need to take it out off the neckline anyways, so that you can sew the two sides together. So you're going to separate it enough that you just have the pieces now. And you're going to line up the two marks that you just put in. Okay? So that one had a little bit more. And you're going to line up the marks. Now, it's not going to be perfect, but it'll be close enough. And you're going to sew the shoulders first. Okay, so you'll do that on both sides. And line them up because the pieces actually do fit. So make sure that the material is parallel when you're lining up the two neckline pieces. They may not be the same distance on both sides, but at least parallel. Okay, and then we're going to sew the shoulders. Make sure you don't catch the shirt in it when you're doing it. The shoulder pieces are sewn together. Then you can actually put in the neckline. So now you can pin the shoulder pieces, the shoulder seams in the right spots. Or pin them directly to the top. I like to fold my seams backwards, so I put my seams to the back. And then I line up my lines. And I just sew all the way around, do a straight stitch, and you're going to do a stitch completely around about 5/8 seams. And this one you do no more than 5/8 seams. You can do it a little less if you would like, but you make sure that your corners in the front, because this is what's going to make the nice clean line in the front of the shirt. You're going to make sure you do where you sew down and stop, then lift up your foot, turn it so it's an exact square on those corners. So as you go around, make sure you're going straight down. I actually back stitch it a little bit and then turn it on a square and back stitch it so that corner piece is really strong on that corner. So it has a very straight corner. So when we flip it in, it's nice and clean. And it's a lot easier to do it this way than how I did Aubrey's original one. So we're just going to go and we're going to actually sew all the way around. As I get down to the corner, go back stitch, and I put my needle down inside the fabric so that when I turn it, the fabric doesn't move. or the corner doesn't move. The needle is down inside the fabric, making it a nice clean square. And if you notice, I did back stitch there. And then I come across the front and just back stitch that corner real quick. And then we go straight across the front. And then you just go around it. Once you get all the way around, this is one of the very few seams that I do not serge, because we have to actually clip the corners. Because there is a curved corner, it won't flip over very nicely unless you clip the corners. So once you get around and go all the way around, keeping it flat and straight and on the curve, I'm going to clip the corners. First of all, I'm going to pull out all my needles, so we don't need them anymore. Okay, so now we're going to lay this flat and we're going to clip the corners. What that means is any part that is curved needs to have little teeny slits put into it. And you don't want it to, you got to make sure you don't go past, or you don't even meet where you actually sewed it to, because you don't want it to fray on the other end. So you're just doing a very small slit into that seam allowance, but you still have probably 1/8 of an inch before the actual seam. Okay, so any place that is curved, you're going to give it a clip, and that makes it so that you can turn the material inside out. In the corners themselves, you do one angled slit into the corner. So it just cuts the material, allows it for a clean turn. You want to do the same thing. Don't go all the way in, but you want to go far enough in that it gives you that clean corner. And just up towards the top is a little bit curved, so I just do a couple of slits up towards the top here. All right, so now that it's clipped, do all the way around the back side here, because it's clipped all the way. Do it about every 1/2 inch, or whatever you feel you need it. Okay, now you're going to flip this all the way in to the middle. Okay, so when you turn it, and you're going to pin it, because we're going to actually sew a line around, so you're going to pin it right sides out now. It's going to give you a nice clean neckline. Pull it tight. And again, on your corners, you're going to want to make sure you do that nice clean, crisp corner. But if you look at it now, once we flip it inside out and you pin it, I like to do one pin on either side of the corner. It makes it easier to hold the material. And make sure you lay it flat on the inside so that when you're pinning, or when you actually sew the final edge, it's nice and smooth underneath as well. Okay, so you pin it, and if you notice, it's very crisp, clean, square front, and you just do sew the edge just 1/4 of an inch, or not even 1/4 of an inch. I put my foot of my sewing machine right along the edge of the neckline, so that it just gives the exact same all the way around seam. Okay, so that's what we're going to do now, and that just flips under and keeps the neckline flipped under and gives it a nice clean, crisp seam. Okay. As soon as you finish with that, you need to flip over and either serge the edge of the other side of that little dicky type inner neckline, or put fray check on it. But make sure if you use fray check, it does not touch the outside, the front of the shirt at all, because it will leave a dark mark. So I like to serge it just because I have a serger. If you guys don't have a serger and you want me to clean it up afterwards, just don't sew it at all. I will go ahead and go through all of the shirts at the very end and serge any of the necklines that need to be serged. So you can just leave it and I can take care of that if you want. Okay, so there's the neckline and it's completely done. The shirt, now all we have to do is do the actual casing. You're going to take and you're going to flip it under the 1 inch for the sleeves. If you do not have a serger, you will have to double roll it. So you'll roll it in and roll it up again. Make sure you do have enough room. The sleeves have elastic that has their name on it with an R and an L. So you need to look at the front of the shirt, lay it down. It's the right side, the left side. You put the proper elastic in it. You just flip over. I'm going to serge it and then flip it up, and then just sew it. Straight stitch all the way around, leaving again that 1 inch to 2 inch opening to add the elastic in, using the safety pin to pull it through. Then you're going to overlap just a ½ inch this time on the elastic and sew it on both sides. So that makes the sleeve. And then the under part here, you're going to flip it over, doing the casing, same thing. I serge it and then flip it up. If you don't have a serger and you'll have to double roll it. So you roll it up 1/4 and then up enough to get the same size elastic is going to go through the same casing at the bottom. And there is a slit on either side. So if you don't have your elastic in your bag, that means your daughter hasn't measured her rib cage and cut herself one yet. We'll do that at practice probably on Friday. So you just pull up, you're going to leave, the slit will allow you to shove that elastic through anytime. You get it? Same thing. You're going to overlap it by a ½ inch and stitch it up. That is the shirt, the undershirt. Okay?